start with your name, age, and where you were born, then, please.
Yeah, so my name is Tim Wilde. I'm 38 years old. I was 38 on Monday, and I'm from Wolverhampton. I'm Wentzfield, born and bred.
Nice. What do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm a professional MMA fighter. I've been professional at it since 2013, which is 12 years, and I've been doing mixed martial arts pretty much since 2011. So yeah, 14 years, and it's my full-time career. It's what I do for a living. It's how I earn my living.
How did you get into mixed martial arts?
Um, it was kind of a natural progression. So I've done martial arts since I was 8 years old. I'm 38 now, so for 30 years, and I started martial arts for self-defense reasons. I was getting bullied as a kid, and my parents sent me. I think there was a couple of the kids in the street where I grew up. They did it as well, and yeah, just I was naturally sporty, competitive, and one thing led to another. I stuck with martial arts throughout kind of all my adolescent years. One thing led to another, and I stumbled upon The Ultimate Fighter was how I come across mixed martial arts. And until I seen that series, you know, the famous with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, until I seen that, I didn't even know what it was. I hadn't even heard of it. And I thought at the time I was, you know, numerous British champion, European champion. I'd fought in world championships in the martial arts that I did, which was Shotokan karate, and I just thought, oh, I could do that. I thought I was hard, if you like. I thought I can have a go at this. I think I'd be good at this. Little did I know I wasn't. I found a local gym, and within about 3 weeks, I just got the bug for it. I was like, oh, mate, I really am not hard. I really cannot fight. And I learned that very quickly at this gym. And yeah, it just grew from there. And it was just, I fell in love with it instantly. And, you know, growing up, I've always been very sporty and competitive, and I don't like losing at anything. And when I went there thinking that I was this kind of, you know, bloke that could look after myself, and I was getting handled by guys half my weight, double my age, I was thinking, oh, I need to learn this. I need to get better. I need to be able to beat these guys at this. And it's just a desire that grew from then, from instant.
Do you think that competitiveness was always in you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just ever since I was a kid, like whatever I was doing or whatever I was excited about, I always wanted to be the best at it and always wanted to win. I quite often say I hate the feeling of losing more than I enjoy the feeling of winning. So that was that was a massive driver for me in the success that I've had from martial arts, but just in life in general, with whatever I'm doing, I always want to do well at it, you know.
So what's your record?
So my professional record is 17, 7 and 1. So that's 17 wins, 7 losses and 1 draw. And I thought I had 10 amateur fights as well, and I was 9 and 1, so 9 wins, 1 loss. So, you know, I've had like 35 fights as such in a cage anyway.
What's that like for someone that's never experienced it?
Fighting in a cage. It's like the best and the worst thing ever at the same time. Which is so contradicting. But there really is no other feeling like it. You know, and I've been very blessed and very lucky in my life to get to experience many wonderful things in my life. You know, but there's no feeling like getting your hand raised when you win a fight, and not like just win a fight. You win a fight against another human being that is as, you know, ambitious and as driven as you, and knows that he's fighting you like 8 or 10 weeks prior, and he's studying you and working 24/7. You know, with the level that I fought at, this was how guys applied themselves, fighters apply themselves to do so. and then beating them, bettering them on the night. And that, again, I suppose, is just ticking that like competitiveness inside me.
That's the ultimate competitiveness.
Yeah, it's the ultimate like challenge physically, isn't it? I mean, if you go back to the Stone Ages and the caveman era, it's like you're the alpha, you're the top dog, and you beat that person, and like you would take their women and their food. And I think that's like how, if you go back to that, it's like fighting has just been about since day one, isn't it? Yeah. It's just kind of in us. Very primal. It definitely ticks some of those boxes. And then for me, as I say, with being so competitive, it's like, for me, there's like how can I word it? There's no other defining like feeling you can have that to better somebody that's just prepared for you for so long, And as I say, when you fight high level, everybody wants to be the best. You want to be the champion. You want to be the number one. And for me, if that isn't your goal as an MMA fighter, you really shouldn't do this sport, because it's a dangerous sport, as you can see.
You've got a few bruises and bangs. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I fought on Saturday night on Cage Warriors in Manchester, and I lost the fight, and that's part of the result from the fight. So the guy I fought caught me with a nice shot, and just one of the war wounds. I mean, it's died down now. It looks a lot worse than it feels. It ain't even 1% of how my ego and my pride is feeling from losing the fight. But yeah, unfortunately, when you're doing a full contact sport, you do take lumps and bumps, and that was just part and parcel. So that was the result.
You say you've had 7 losses in your record. What's that like as opposed to the win? How do you come back? How do you deal with it internally?
Very difficult. Still dealing with this one. It's very fresh. I mean, was it Wednesday today? So it's 5 days on.
I thought, without rubbing salt, I thought it might be a good time for you to explain to the youngsters that it's not all about the wins. It's a very physical, primal sport, and you're not always going to get that.
No. And if you are winning everything and beating everyone, I mean, you're probably not fighting the right people, or you're not pushing yourself to the limit. I think like the one thing, just to drift off a little, the one thing that I noticed with like mixed martial arts compared to say boxing, that you fight the best. You always fight the best. You always challenge yourself. Everyone's hungry to be the best, to be number one. And like you see, I think, I mean, off the top of my head, you get Taporia, Khabib. There's very, very few. John Jones. I know there's that one loss with the downward elbows, but there's very, very few people in the mixed martial arts world that have that 0 on the record, where they've had 0 losses. And the ones that have done that, I mean, like the Taporia, they're talking about him. He's like one of the best ever at the moment. And Khabib, pound for pound. But going back to your question, like, you learn a lot. Like John Kavanagh said it, I think, you either win or you learn. And that's so true. If I'd have won Saturday night, I'd be sitting here now completely different. I think, and potentially nothing would have changed either, as regards to my approach to training, my approach to preparing for a fight, how I train physically, mentally, the changes that I may or may not make in my life regarding fighting. So the biggest thing I can say about losing, have your moment, have your time that you need to sit in that loss and to feel the feels that you get from losing. I've been very sad, I've been very down, very reflective, very negative. Have that moment, sit in it, and then use that as like fuel to, right, I don't want to feel this again. I don't want to look like this again. What changes can I make? And have a period of time where, a week, 2 weeks, a month, however long it takes, to reflect and assess what you're doing and what you can change moving forward to better yourself. So losing is not good. Nobody wants to lose, but I think you learn so much more, and you take away lessons from losing so much more than a win. As I said, if I'd have gone in there Saturday night, knocked him out in first round, everything's perfect, then nothing needs to change. It worked. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't always go like that. And I'm still reflecting on it. As I say, I may be doing everything right and just have not turned up on the night, which is kind of what I'm surmising to at the moment.
Do you feel any difference or any something you don't usually feel going into it?
I think so I think that's kind of, so far on reflection, what I've felt is you kind of hit the nail on the head. There was something missing. I wasn't having the same feelings that I would normally feel going into a fight. I felt a bit flat, a bit like empty. I didn't feel fully there, and the summary I'm coming to is that I just really didn't turn up. Part of it, I think, is, so previously I'd fought on much bigger promotions and bigger shows, and I'd already fought on the promotion Cage Warriors. And by the way, this is not excuses. Congratulations to Pagani, the guy that beat me. He did what he needed to do, and he performed well. He rose to the occasion and won. I still, and I think like all fighters will say this, I still feel like I'm the more skilled and better fighter. What I've done in the sport already kind of says that. But on the night, he turned up and I didn't. So I just wanted to say, like, I'm not making excuses, but I felt like I'd taken a step backwards by fighting on Cage Warriors, because about halfway through my career, I'd worked my way up to Cage Warriors and then surpassed them and fought on bigger promotions. And it kind of felt like I was taking a bit of a step back to fight on Cage Warriors.
What was the reason for that?
So it wasn't through choice. So Bellator that I fought on, they finished last year, and my contract was to them. So when they ended last year, they released me, and I was a free agent. And I did sign with a big promotion called GFL, Global Fight League, but for one reason or another, they never took off. They lost some endorsement deal or something, and basically, excuse my French, but it kind of fucked with my life a little bit. It's put me on the sideline and kept me out of fighting for nearly 9 months. And around 6 weeks ago, month and a half, I said to my management, look, GFL I don't know if this is happening or what, but I'm training constantly. I'm getting older. I need to get in and get a fight. And just a couple of weeks later, so 4 weeks ago, Cage Warriors contacted my management to see if they've got any lightweights available to do a catchweight fight against Pagani. And I was just that fed up of sitting out on the sideline. I was just like, yeah, just put me in for it. I'll take the fight. Probably overlooking Pagani, overlooking the situation, underestimating him perhaps. And I took the fight at the heavier weight class and paid the price.
So you usually fight at 155?
Yes.
And what was the last fight?
This was at 165, this was.
Okay. So does that £10 have an effect on your performance?
I think so. I didn't know because I'd not yet fought ever. Well, actually, I did fight at 170 as an amateur, but it was 10, 12 years ago, so times are different now. Fighters now, they all have nutritionists, strength and conditioning coach. Everybody's big and strong for the weight. So I think I underestimated what jumping up in £10 would be like and feel like for me. I'd never fought at that weight as a professional. And one thing I noticed was in the fight itself. I mean, he looked huge compared to how I looked. I didn't have to cut much weight to make 165. We took it at 165 because of it being on short notice. I didn't want to kill myself to make 155. And like I say, I paid the price. But one thing I did notice in the fight was my strikes didn't have the same effect on him that, say, they would have done with a 155 guy. and he felt very physical and strong in the fight. So, you know, moving forward, decisions like that won't be made again. I'll be sticking to the weight category that I've always stuck at, which is lightweight, 155. So yeah.
Do you think all of these things have had little effects on this performance, or do you think it was maybe yourself thinking you'd taken that step down?
Yeah, I think like I don't think there's one sole reason. It wasn't like, I suddenly can't fight, I suddenly can't box, or he had superior boxing, or he had superior wrestling. I think it was a case of a lot of these little determining factors resulted in me just not performing on the night. Because I've been in the sport for so long, I've got so many good people around me. After on reflection and after breaking down and talking to them and discussing it, and just like I say, self-reflection, I think all these little factors just added up into me just really not turning up on the night. I mean, you've watched me fight many times. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you agree, but everybody said I just didn't look right. I didn't look like myself. I didn't feel it in there. My legs felt heavy. I felt heavy. I was heavier. I fought 10 pound heavier. Lots of little factors. I say I don't want to make excuses. He got the job done. He won fair and square. It's done, and I'm looking to move past it. But yeah, it was not like. And to be honest, when I reflect on my whole career, I've never come out of a fight and felt, oh, you know what, Joe Bloggs or what, he's just so much better than me at striking and wrestling and MMA as a whole. I've always put on a good fight, good show, and the majority of my losses have been stoppages. You know, prior to the fight before the last one when I fought Dakazi, a very high level fighter. It's the first time in 34 fights at that point that I'd ever lost a decision. That was a hard one to swallow because every fight that's ever gone to a decision I've always won, because I've always come on strong in a fight, and I've always felt the more skilled or equally as skilled fighter, but had the bigger heart or the bigger gas tank, you know, fitness. So yeah, it's like I've never come out of a fight and thought, you know what, this guy is just absolutely better than me everywhere. I mean, there was the loss, the Brent Primus loss. He had got better jiu-jitsu. He submitted me. I dived into his guard though. So, you know, just on reflection, like I'd knocked him down with a shot, and rather than making him stand back up and beating him where I knew I was better, I've jumped on top of him with the whole excitement of it all, and he's submitting me. I've jumped into his game and he beat me at that particular part. But
it's fine margins, and
it is very small. MMA. Yeah, very small margins. So like, but again, it was a lesson. You know, I wouldn't do that again, or I hope to think I wouldn't do that again. That I learned from that fight that, you know, make a guy stand back up. Don't fight the fight in his strongest area by jumping into his guard and stuff. You know, so this is what I was talking about. Lessons.
Sometimes that instinct take over the training.
I think so. With that fight in particular, I was it was my debut on Bellator. I was the main event in Birmingham in an arena that had 13,000 people in it. And him being the away fighter, like everyone British in the arena, pretty much. I think the moment got to me. And when you've hurt someone, you have to have that killer instinct in you where you want to like dive on him and try and finish him. And just in the moment, just didn't dive on him, thought I was going to finish him. And he's actually, he's got like a very aggressive rubber guard. He's got super flexible knees, and he just pulled on this submission from nowhere and caught me with it clean. Very few submissions fights have been finished with that submission. So yeah, again, credit to him as taking no skin off his nose. He's an absolute killer. So, but yeah, in the heat of the moment, you go back to like it's instinctual, isn't it? It's fighting at the end of the day, and I thought I had him out of there. I've gone for the finish and paid the price. But yeah, fighting is very instinctual as a whole. You know, you do in the cage, you'll do what you do in training and what your habits are, or you'll fall back on them. So you preps everything with fighting. So how you're performing in sparring and how you'll go into the fight generally. Especially, you know, if you're full time and you like I am and you train religiously for it, then yeah.
So what's a traditional training camp for you look like?
Like a training camp, as a rule, it would be about 8 weeks, where I would do like a fight camp. This one was short notice, but I am fit, and I have been. It's my full-time job. Yeah, if like fight fit is 100%, I keep myself at 70-80% all year round. I just love the job. I love what I do. I love learning and progressing as an athlete and as a fighter, and just health. Anyway, the health benefits of it. I like to keep myself fit. I like working hard and just the achievement sense of it. So I'm always. I think even if I hung up my gloves today, I would still train. Perhaps not as hard as I do now, but I was. Have a very fit and healthy lifestyle. But yeah, traditionally a training camp is 8 weeks, or a fight camp, and that isn't about. Other fighters do this, and I disagree. But a fight camp really is 8 weeks preparing for an individual. So let's say I'm fighting somebody, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he's got phenomenal jiu-jitsu on his back. He's really good guard and stuff. I would specify my training to keeping myself safe in a guard, working my submission defense, keeping a fight standing. I'm working like my anti-wrestling to stop them taking me down. So you would just specify for those 8 weeks your training to suit the person that you're fighting, and then the intensity tends to go up. So all year round I'm training, but say if a 10 out of 10 is what you'd be doing in fight camp, I'm training at 7 or 8 out of 10 all year round. And then I might have periods where, you know what, I'm feeling a bit burnt out. I'm gonna ease off for 2 weeks and just drop it down to 3, 4 out of 10, let my body rest. And yeah, but generally in camp the intensity is at 10 out of 10, and those 8 weeks are always tough. Always.
So how many times a day do you train?
2 times a day.
Twice.
Yeah, twice a day. 6 days a week. Probably once on a Saturday. So 5 days a week, 2 times a day, and then one on a Saturday. That's what I do now with the age I am now, 38. And then that may ease off a little. I might shave off 2 sessions in the week outside of a fight camp. Sometimes if I'm feeling good, my body's feeling good, I might do 2 or 3 times a day outside of a fight camp if I'm working on a specific area in my game. Like I want to work on my jiu-jitsu, I'll put extra sessions in, take out other sessions. So I'm quite flexible with it. I did train a lot more 10 years ago, when I was 10 years younger. I was doing 3 times a day and no sleep and eating what I want. And, that as I've got stricter as an athlete, I've learned to train smarter. Because like I say, I don't have the 28-year-old body now that I had 10 years ago.
Can you overtrain?
Yeah, me specifically or in general?
Well, what's your thoughts on it? But yeah, I'd like to know a wider range as well. How other people feel about the overtraining.
Yeah, people have different thoughts on it. So I'll talk on that first. So some people believe it's a myth. You can't overtrain. I know different. I know you can overtrain. I've overtrained myself.
Tells you otherwise.
And your mind as well. There's been periods where I've actually fell out of love with training and felt quite empty at training and a bit lost and I've just been like, what the hell? And the people around me have recognised it, and I'm like, anyone who I train with and work with, they'll tell you I love training, and when I'm there, I love it. I'm engrossed in it. I'm obsessed with it, and but there's been times where training, and it hasn't even been during a fight camp, where training's been a chore and I've not wanted to train, and when I'm there, I've not felt like I wanted to be there, or I'm very distracted, or just constantly tired and lethargic, even when I'm out of camp and I'm not training hard. So I don't believe it is a myth. I mean, you definitely can. I know from experience, it may be down to an individual, but for me, overtraining is real, and that I've learned that the hard way by experiencing it. But I've learned to manipulate my training to suit me so that I never get to that point. And I'm lucky at my family around me. They recognise if I'm getting anywhere near like that, they'll pull me up on it. You know, they'll say, "You're stressed, Tim. You're ratty. You're irritable, or you're not sleeping well." And you know, you just put two and two together. Just from experience, I've learned it, and yeah, I know how to step off a bit. I know I'm going to have to be careful now following this fight, because all I want to do is get back in the gym and kill myself to get better. You know, I went out for a run Tuesday, and then I trained striking Tuesday night, and I'm in bits with my legs because of it. Pushed myself too hard. I think part of me just needed to physically do that because of Saturday and the result. So it was probably too soon. You should always take like a week or at least a good few days off after a fight. So yeah, I believe it is true, and I think you've just got to, from experience, learn your body, learn when and where you can push, and know when to just ease off. And just not only that, I mean, I've got quite an obsessive personality, so I can get quite obsessed with training and fighting. But then there's other, you know, there's more to life than just fighting, isn't there? You know, I've got a son, I've got a partner, I've got family, I've got friends. I can feel sometimes I pull myself away from all that, and I'm just in this little tunnel. Like, I've got to get better. I can't let this happen again. Blah blah blah. So it's good to have those people around you and say, Tim, we need a holiday, or Tim, you need to spend a bit of time with Quinn, my son. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm quite lucky in that sense.
What's your diet look like?
Right now, it's a good job the shop isn't open. Put it like that. No, to be honest, it's not too bad. My diet, currently, I say currently, probably all year round. I eat. My meals are good. I eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I would say 95% of the year it's healthy. It's good. Like, good source of protein, good clean carbohydrates, always veg, plenty of fruit. Where I struggle is my snacks. So I love my snacks. I love to eat crisps and chocolate and sweet, and not so much cakes, biscuits, you know. But like, that's where, if I'm gonna go off and be a bit naughty, that's where I'm gonna kind of go. Head towards. I do treat myself now and again. I'll have a McDonald's or a KFC or something, but generally my meals are good. But right now my diet's pretty good, to be honest, because again, this is me beating myself up, but part of me feels like I don't deserve to eat loads of rubbish food because I lost the fight and stuff. So I don't feel like I've earned that privilege. But that's just a mindset thing. Yeah. But traditionally, like, following a fight, especially a win, like a Five Guys is always on the list. I love me a Toby Carvery, things like that. So, but yeah, like you know, it's part of the job as well. So diet it's like, it isn't just training and turning up on the Saturday night and winning the fight. Your diet, your sleep, your recovery, all this is part of being a professional MMA fighter. And if you're not taking that seriously and including that as part of your job, you're not fully committing. You're never going to go all the way, because you know it might only be a short career. You might fight from 21 to 35, and that's your professional MMA fighting career. But those 14, 15 years, whatever it is, like, you've got to be doing it all if you want to be the best, and you want to go as far as you as an individual can possibly go. And eating good, fueling your training, recovering from your training, keeping your body tip top, sleeping well so that you recover, like resting, stretching, all of this is part of it. Not just smashing training, learning as many submissions, as many strikes as you can, and fighting. It's deeper than that if you want to go further.
So how do you recover, or what type of things do you do or use to recover your body?
Diet. Diet is a big thing. So keeping my food good, my protein high, my food good, make sure I get all my fruits and veg, hydrating well. Sleep. I'm like an advocate of sleep. I preach to my son, who's 8. Like, sleep is medicine. And it really is. You know, if you get good sleep, Like I feel like everything else in your life aligns and things are just easier. So I sleep really well. Like I love my sleep. Um, I mean, I've got a sauna at my house. I've got an ice bath. I use that regularly, 3 times a week, maybe.
Did you find them effective?
I do actually. I do. I know there's a lot of there's mixed reviews on ice baths, especially, particularly like I think because it's the science scientifically proven. Like sauna really does help with recovery. It helps with longevity and health in general. But myth, it's a bit of a myth in the ice baths. You got your believers and your non-believers, but I just know how it makes me feel, so I don't particularly care about the science. If I do it and it's helping me, then it works for me. So, but stretching, another big thing is stretching, staying flexible, and training smart. Again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, um, training smart. So knowing that okay, my body's sore, or I've got a slight knee injury or elbow injury or whatever, easing off the training or training around that. I've suffered throughout my career with my lower back and my back. I've had to have surgery on it, and
Is that because of fighting or from something else?
who knows? I mean, I'm an electrician as well, so I've worked on site for years before I went full time professional MMA. I've naturally got quite poor posture. My dad has. Whether it's that combined with the MMA and the wrestling, I'm not sure. I would say it's probably from the wrestling in MMA. A lot of high level MMA guys suffer with their back and their neck. It's like it's taking a lot of load when you're lifting weights, you're wrestling. You got somebody else trying to manipulate you, impact, being slammed on the floor and whatnot. So, but my particular one was my L4, L5 vertebrae, which is your lower spine. The disc in between had bulged and it was pressing on a nerve, it was causing me sciatica. So I had to just have that shaved down. Had that in 2023 and touch wood, like no problems since. But you know, like when I had a bad back, and if you've ever experienced it yourself or anybody at home has, it's like all you want to do is get in bed and curl up in a ball and just lie there until the pain's gone away. But it's like the worst thing you can do for it. So being strict with your physio on that and like keeping your body moving and knowing when to take painkillers and sleep again. So yeah, that's really important. That's really important. What else do I do for my recovery? I mean that's the bulk of it. The training smart's a big thing as well. So again, if you've got a lower back injury, don't just stop altogether and sit on the sofa and eat crisps and watch TV. Like that's probably what you want to do, but keep moving, keep walking, stretching, take your painkillers. But people may not know that. So I've learned that over the years through professionals and just through my own experiences.
I think most people think rest is the best thing to do in them situations, but tends to get worse over time, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, particularly with my lower back, it was for me. But other things you may have to. I mean, if you've like say rolled your ankle's ballooned up, you sprained it, you probably do need to ice and rest that and keep it elevated and stuff. So each injury is like quite individual, isn't it, to people? But yeah, rest. Touching on what you asked earlier, like that's another important thing, resting as well, because if you're all at it all the time, if you never like you hit when you're resting, you're recovering, you're healing, your body is recovering. Like you got the bodybuilders, they tear their fibers lifting weights in their muscles, but then you have to rest and eat protein to heal them and to grow them and stuff. So it's the same with martial arts. You're not lifting weights or you're not bench pressing or whatever, but you're breaking down your body, training hard. So rest is important. So again, I say training smart, that means all of that to me, but to people that may not understand, like training smart, no, I'll train in the morning and I'll rest all lunch, and then I'll train in the afternoon and then I'll rest all evening and get a good night's sleep. So training smart, like, kind of covers that for me when I'm saying that. Yeah, knowing yourself, and then knowing that, I've had a really hard wrestling session Monday morning and I've had a really hard spar Tuesday. I'm going to just take Wednesday off. So sometimes I might just drop in a random rest day, which I have to battle with mentally, but it's for the greater good.
So, with mixed martial arts, what specific things do you train?
So I cover all the kind of martial arts that work for me as a fighter, and like that I have to as a mixed martial artist, and that's like you. An easy way to break it down is you have striking and grappling. So I train individual striking arts, and then I train like MMA striking as a whole, and then same with grappling. So grappling covers anything once somebody's touching somebody. That's essentially grappling. As soon as you're making contact with someone, that's essentially grappling. Whether that's jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, that covers the grappling. So I train them individually, and then I will train them kind of as a whole as well. And same with striking. I work with a boxing coach down in Warsaw here, which is just boxing, just your hands. But then I work with a striking coach in Sutton Coldfield, where I cover everything: my kicking, my knees, elbows. So that's how I train my skill. That's what I cover or classes my skill training, which covers what you can physically do in the cage. But then on the strength and conditioning side of things, I'll do that as well with another coach where my strength training. So my functional strength training may be like some Olympic lifts, some specific weightlifting, some core lifting, and the conditioning side of it is like my running when I'll run on my own generally, or I might go to a track and do sprints on the track with a coach, or you might see me on the aerodyne when you're pedaling on the bike, or you've seen fighters doing that. That's covers your conditioning. Generally, that is all I train for mixed martial arts. I mean, stretching tends to be involved in each of those sessions. Some people swim. I have over the years swam on and off. I'm not currently swimming, but that's used as a tool. Generally, that's like kind of like a recovery session, or some people use that as a conditioning session as well, where they'll swim hard and fast to get the lungs and get the muscle around the body, blood around the muscles to the body.
So what type of training do you find most effective or beneficial for yourself?
I mean, it's all effective. You always need to be improving your skill set and your skills to be able to fight and to get better. But not only improving them, but perfecting and mastering essentially the real basics, the keeping your hands up, the basic jab. That's always been done. But then you might be, I don't know, like training something fancy, a spinning kick or whatever to add to your game. So you always need to be training that, your skill set. But your strength and conditioning and your functional fitness, and you kind of you always have to be fit and strong, and having good strength and training your strength and conditioning kind of helps with injury prevention. So that's super important because injuries are prolific in a contact sport. So you want to minimize that as much as you can. And I believe you get that a lot from strength and conditioning, training smart, my favorite words, and recovering well. So there isn't, I wouldn't say one specific area that benefits me more. Perhaps maybe with where I'm at in my career, the later stage of my career, the importance of strength and conditioning is vital for me. I need to keep strong and keep injury prevention low to be able to keep on fighting. Because essentially I've been training 13 years or 14 years, whatever it was. There ain't too much more. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to start learning some mad flying kicks. It's like I'm owning the basics and mastering the basics. And yeah, like I'm the fighter that I'm going to be now. I'm 38, as I say. I'm not going to all of a sudden become a jiu-jitsu master overnight. That a lot of the guys that are jiu-jitsu masters or jiu-jitsu fighters, they've been training since they were 3 years old or whatever, and they're already a master as they come into the sport. So everybody knows I'm a elite striker, and that's where I like to keep the fight. So I'm always mastering that, but I'm always working on my game as a whole too. Do I have a favourite? Probably. I love sparring, which is like where you get into practice. It's essentially like pretending to fight as such without the. I mean, sometimes it can be heavy, but without the severe consequences of getting knocked out or your arm broke or whatever in a submission. That's probably my favourite bit because it's really competitive and it's close to fighting as you can get. It's fun, you know. We've got a lot of elite guys at our gym, so it's always entertaining. And there's no better feeling than it as well. Like I find when I've had a heavy spar, you're sitting there with all the lads and they're all high level and we're all working our asses off to get somewhere in this sport. It's like, it's just brilliant, you know, when you've had a heavy, hard training session and they've got all them endorphins released and you've had a good, successful spar and you're just sitting there with your mates or your teammates, your brothers as such. It's brilliant. I enjoy that the most, I would say. But probably what's best for me, to go back to your question, is probably the strength and conditioning, you know, keeping my body tip top so that I can do this sport for as long as I possibly can.
All the other things as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So talking of sparring, does the sparring get easier or heavier coming closer to a fight?
Heavier. So yeah, in a fight camp, the sparring will be a bit more heavier. So you've seen the Renegade gym. Renegade's quite a big space, and like, excuse me, out of camp, you know, I'll probably spar in the mat, open mat, and I'll go with anyone. I'll go and spar with a heavyweight. I'll go and spar with a beginner, amateur. It's just sparring. You're just practicing stuff, having a bit of fun, just keeping the conditioning fit, keeping your body good and fit. But in camp, it's like, okay, I'll do specific rounds. I'll do 3 rounds of sparring for 5 minutes, which is what I'm fighting. Yeah. And it'll be right. I'm going to do the first round with you, second round with you, third round with you. This is my opponent. This is what I want you to do. It's in the cage. There's people watching. It's like as soon as you get in the cage, the intensity just goes up anyway. Even if it's an off-camp spar, if you're in the cage, so much it's like you're in the cage now. It's just because you're pretty much as close to you're going to get as fighting. So instantly the intensity goes up anyway, just naturally. Like not even trying to, just does. But yeah, definitely. Like I would say, if say I'm doing an 8-week camp, first 2 weeks building into camp. Then for 4 weeks, the intensity is high. And then I'll generally spar twice a week in camp. Then 8 spars will be intense, especially as you get close to the fight because my fitness is peaking, you know, and I've got a fresh guy every round who's mimicking my opponent. I'm getting close to the fight, so my thoughts are getting more savage. Like I'm thinking about the fight, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do in the fight, and my game plan or my tactics that I'm going to use for the fight are honed in then at that point, and it's like, yeah. So the last couple of weeks of sparring normally pretty intense, hopefully more so for the other person, but you know, I get because of the level of fighters in there, it's like nobody likes to lose in sparring. So although they might be helping me prep for my fight, they still don't want to be beat up. So it tends to be pretty intense the last couple of weeks.
So all them guys are still getting knowledge.
Yeah, everybody's benefit from it. You know, we're a good solid team. We've all helped each other. You know, Joy fought in March, and I was in there with him, like being the punch bag, not punch bag, but you know, in there mimicking his guy, taking the beatings, and he returns the favour for me. That's Joy Herbert from Wolverhampton. Like we've trained together for years, so yeah, we're quite lucky actually. We've got a lot of guys at the weight category that I fight at, so I can get a lot of different looks. We've got southpaws, we've got orthodox fighters, we've got shorter guys that are stockier and wrestling, we've got taller, longer guys that are strikers, so I can get the look that I need to prepare for my fight quite easily at Renegade.
Is there anyone in particular that you prefer sparring with or like sparring with?
I mean, me and Joy Herbert always have great rounds. But now I think like all of the lightweights, I enjoy sparring. I don't particularly like sparring like Fabian Edwards or Leon Edwards. They're massive and just super good. But I say I don't like it. I do. I enjoy it, but I normally come out worse off. But yeah, like there's a good ethos around the gym. There's always good vibes. We all look out for each other, and we all push each other very hard. But I mean, me and Joy, we sparred for 12 years or more on and off, so it's always good. We know each other's game really well. It's very competitive. We're both high level lightweights, and we push each other hard. Um, and we're both strikers, so it's always entertaining, you know.
Yeah.
Emil Brown's another up and coming fighter. Brilliant, so good. Shay Ingram, great fighter. They both just had big wins on Saturday night on Cage Warriors.
I was going to ask, is there anyone coming up that you really got your eye on that you think are great prospects?
Yeah, Shay Ingram. I mean, I would say Emil Brown as well, but I kind of surpassed being a prospect now. He's like 10-3. I'd probably be fighting for a Cage Warriors title next, I believe. But yeah, Shay Ingram, he's a stud. He's like 3-0, professional now. Just had a massive win against a really tough lad in from Manchester. Well, he's from Stockport, I think, but he's from Dagestan originally and wrestler, like real killer. He's just gone in and beat him first round. Shay's been training mixed martial arts, the same amount of time as I have. He's 21.
Okay.
So when people are like, "Oh, why do you train with Shay to prepare for fights and stuff like that?" I'm like, the guy's trained as long as me. He's probably trained longer than me. He probably knows more than me. So people like just see me like sparring and prepping with this guy who's 3-0. But I'm like, he's still got the same mat time that I have. He knows as much as me. You know, I'll bounce ideas off Shay what I want to use for my game plan, even though I'm 20 odd fights deep into a pro career. So, but he's going to go far. You know, I hope he does. I mean, you need a little bit of luck on your side in this sport. You need to stay injury free, and there's a lot more factors than just being good that get you all the way. You know.
Yeah.
No doubt we'll probably touch on it some more, but like. I'd like to. He's put a lot into it, and I'd like to see him go far. And I believe he's got what it takes to do that. He's the one that stands out. It's probably because I train with him a lot. There's a lot of young amateur fighters coming up as well. You got Matty Morawski. He's if I've pronounced that right, he's the Greco-Romans coach, wrestling coach's son. He's another young prospect, very good, saying 20 years old, just beast. Another young lad, Matt Howarth, I think you pronounce it. Again, like 19, 20 years old. Another guy, Joshua Adeboye. There's some and they're all lightweights as well. Okay. So it's great for me because I'm getting the experienced veterans of the sport like Joy Herbert, where they're real crafty, wise, like experienced rounds, and then I'm getting guys that are like 20 or absolute killers pushing me and sparring as well. So the lightweight division in the gym is just stacked. But yeah, there's a lot of talent coming up. I hope they go far. You know, they all work hard. They'll deserve it. But so do all the other lads at all the other gyms all around the world, all around the country. It's a tough old sport. But yeah, like I say, you need more than just being a good fighter nowadays. You need.
So what do you think you need to be a professional MMA fighter, from your opinion?
You need a bit of luck. You definitely need a bit of luck. You know, not even so much like just when you're in there and you throw that one spinning kick and it lands and it knocks them out and it just goes boom, sends you up there, like pushes you on. Just that there can be the different 2 inches in the kick can be the difference between knocking someone out or just missing. And so you need that bit of luck. You need one thing I'm not great at, but I've realised you need that social media presence. I don't know if you agree or you've seen that, but I feel
nowadays it's inevitable, Tim, to be honest.
I think I would even say that's probably more valuable than being an absolutely great fighter, because I've seen some very mediocre fighters go very far and earn a lot of money because they've got they've got this real presence on social media, this real aura, and like that's a skill in itself. You know, you have to be, you have to charismatic, and you have to have good energy about you. You have to understand all this technology and editing and in the right place at the right time, and to put yourself there to be in the right place at the time. Like just yeah, that's important. I would say that's more important than being a phenomenal fighter. You can be an average fighter, but if you're phenomenal on social media, you'll get more opportunities than the phenomenal fighter who's rubbish on social media.
It's a shame.
And I'm not saying, but I can talk from serious. I'm not saying by any means that I'm the world-class best fighter in the world, but I'm a very good fighter. But I'm terrible at the social media side of things, and I feel like over the years I've definitely missed out on opportunities because of that. Paydays, sponsorships, just getting pushed by management, gyms, promotions, you know. So
does your management deal with any of those things, or is your social media presence purely you?
it's you really. I think some managements do. From my experience, not though. I think it's something you've got to become good at yourself, really. Especially early on, if you're 3-0 as a, you know, as a fighter, like why would the manager pick you up and be like, oh, he's going to be a future star off of being 3-0? There's probably 1,000 3-0 MMA fighters in the world. So, but if you stand out because you've got you're 3-0, you're 21, and you've got 200,000 followers or something on Instagram, it's like, whoa, who's this kid? What, you know, you stand out more.
Yeah.
So, but that's on you, and I think it's a real skill and a real art in itself to understand. Yeah, it is to understand that, to understand the algorithms, to understand what works for social media, to understand what people want to see. But not only that, if you're just a boring, a boring guy as well, like people ain't gonna want to watch you. I mean, I don't think I'm boring, but all little 21-year-olds might look at me and like, oh, who's this guy? Like, he's boring. Maybe that's why I haven't got the following. But I think it's more down to my views and how I feel about social media, and the fact that I've just never really tried with it because I don't enjoy it. But I do enjoy training extremely hard. Like if you're my coach and you say, right, run up that mountain 10 times and you're going to win your next fight, I'll run up it 12. But if you say, spend 6 hours editing this video, like have this all the time, talking, like it just ain't me. It's just, and I think it wouldn't come through.
The other things that you really need to do as well. Yeah, your life.
And what I enjoy. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's important. A bit of luck, like I said. Support. You need support around you. You know, it's such a hard job to do on your own. So if you've got a supportive family, if you've got some like friends or relatives that have businesses and can support you a bit financially early on in your career, that helps massive, because it isn't a very well-paying sport early on, but you have to. It's more than a full-time job. Going back to what I said earlier, where your diet, your sleep, your rest, your recovery, it's everything. The social media side of it, all that. It's your whole life. It's like, it's not a job where you turn up Monday at 9 and then you finished at 5. It's like you do this job, you're doing this job for 15 to 20 years, and it's all day, every day. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to go all the way. So you need a bit of help with it. You know, you need the sponsors or the family to support you and stuff like that. Because if you have to work on site as well as a bricklayer, 40 hours a week, that's taking you away from all that you should be doing to pursue this career, to be the best at this job.
So what do your family think about you fighting?
Well, my mum messaged me Sunday morning saying, "Is that you done now? Are you retiring?"
Oh no!
It's like, Mum, come on, man.
For your psyche?
This is like I say, we're quite soon following the fight doing this chat, but like that's some of the things that I'm having to deal with currently. I took my son to jiu-jitsu last night, and it was the first time since the fight. And they all know what I do. They all like follow me and support me and stuff. And they, I've got guys there that respectfully know nothing about what I do, what I've done, how much I've committed to the sport, saying, "Oh, you're a bit old now, ain't you? Is that you done now?" And I'm like,
"You're gonna tell Joel Romero?"
yeah.
Huh?
But I have to bite my lip, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, mate. Like, I'm friendly. Like, and I'm understanding these guys that they don't understand what I do and what I've done and how much I've committed and how much more I want to go or whatever. But they just think they're saying the right thing. They're being friendly, and that that I've gotten used to that because I've lost 7 times, as I said earlier. Like, that's something you have to deal with. You have to be accepting that people don't understand this life. So you have to accept how they feel and what they say, and just.
Can I just say as well?
Of course.
99% of these people ain't in the cage, Tim.
No.
So, like you say, that they've never experienced that feeling. They've never done what you've had to do, and they've never took a chance in their life to know.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. And like, but to answer your question, like, how do I deal with the psyche? That I've done it many times now. So because I'm quite a friendly guy. I mean, I could just say, "Look, mate, you don't know anything. Shut up."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, listen,
people need to understand a bit more.
Well, it would be nice. It'd be easier for me to not have to hear it again. But I know it comes from a nice place. Nobody. There's no keyboard warrior coming up to me going, "You're shit, mate.
Yeah.
You should quit." Like, do you know what I mean? Because nobody would do that because they're not hiding behind a keyboard or a computer. But so I know it comes from a good place with them. But yeah, it's the psyche of it's hard. Like, it's not nice to hear. You know, I've got enough close people who know me and who know the sport well to be able to put their arm around me and go, "Tim, look, I think you should think about packing it in." Not one person's even having an inkling at that yet. And not only that, I don't feel like that yet. So you could, all a lot of people see is that, or was it 4.5 minutes on the Saturday night? They don't know anything about this 4 weeks or the 14 years that I've just put into this. So yeah, so I am forgiving of it because they only seen that 4.5 minutes. Yeah, you know, without waffling on too much and going on about that, but I just didn't perform. So it's like if you had a job, you know, working in an office and you was like some sort of project manager and you've done this project or whatever, design something and it failed. Would that be it then? Like you did Friday 3 p.m. It's going to be on. Would that be? Oh, I ain't going to work Monday. Or oh, forget it. Like, I quit this job. Like, failure is part of life. It's part of growing and learning from it. So like, you know, I don't want to make a decision about quitting fighting following a result of a fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it to be, oh, I've had enough now. I'm ready to move on to the next stage of my life, whether that be coaching or a completely different career change or whatever. So, but yeah, to answer your question, the psyche, it's never easy to hear, but yeah. And also your question was, how do my family feel about it? They're very supportive. They see what I put into it. They've supported me over the years, and they've supported me emotionally, physically, financially. They've helped me. My partner, she's brilliant. You know, she sees how much I commit and what I give to the sport, what I've sacrificed to be able to do it, and she supports it. You know, she helps me. She supports me massively. She supports me with like, she helps cook a lot of my food and stuff through fight prep, which helps massively. It's just something less I have to do. She'll help me with childcare. So my son, I mean, he's 80. He's 80. Doesn't understand the world yet, but he's like, "Oh, Dad, you're the best." Yeah, he's like, "You're the world champion. You're the best." Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I love that. It's like, he's brilliant. I'm like, I don't say to him, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am, mate. I am the best. You know, but yeah, he does martial arts as well. So he's having his own little journey through. I hope he never fights. I mean, if he wants to, of course, I'll support him. But I don't want to ever see him get hurt. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure that's how my mom feels, and that's why she asked me if I was retiring Sunday morning. But you know, well, I spoke to her about it. I think I spoke to her about it last night. Actually, she was like, "No, of course not. You know, it's just, I don't like seeing you get hurt." But that's what I signed up for, you know. It could have been him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, go back to my son. He's on his own little journey through martial arts, and he does jiu-jitsu and he does boxing, and you know he'll get beat up in jiu-jitsu and just like do shit, and like, oh, I just couldn't get this dad. And so he's, you know, I can see what that's giving him and that's preparing him for adult life as well, you know.
Do you think more kids need that discipline that martial arts provides?
Mate, I've said it for years now. I think all kids should do martial arts. All kids. It should be part of a school syllabus, and I think the world would be a better place if they did. Not because like everyone needs to be able to fight and be hard as nails or whatever, but just what it gives you outside of being able to defend yourself to a degree. Some martial arts, not all martial arts, you know, some dojos out there, isn't there? Let's be honest, but like the discipline, like the respect, the self-esteem, and the confidence that it gives you to be able to sit and do a podcast and talk to people, to be able to sit. I remember as a kid, I was doing karate, and I remember my dad saying to me, I think I was probably about 11 or 12, and I'm holding this conversation with the woman that used to like I do our register at karate. She was about 50, Hilda, and I was about 50 at the time. And I'm having like a conversation with her at like 10, 11 years old about gardening or something like really deep and long. And like my dad, in the drive home, he was like, oh, it was amazing listening to you talk to Hilda about gardening. Like, oh, I'm 11. I'm like, what? And he's like, and now I understand it, because have you ever tried to have a conversation with an 11-year-old that doesn't train martial arts or sports and just obsessed with TikTok or PlayStation? Yeah. Nowadays, it's very difficult, isn't it? And I don't blame the children. It's the times, isn't it? It's
the world we're living in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like social media as well.
Absolutely. But it gives you that martial arts, does it? You're interacting with other kids. You're getting like mentored and coached and pushed and beasted by coaches to be better, and I think it gives you a lot, and I think all kids should do it. And I actually think all kids should at some point, maybe not like combat, like full contact, but have some sort of experience in competition as well, and experience losing, and experience winning, and like how that grows and develops you as an adult. It's priceless.
I believe so too, mate. I think a lot of people can look at fighters like brutes, but I think most of the fighters you guys I've met have always been quite humble and seem quite disciplined and love your craft.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what more you can ask for, you know.
Yeah, I think we get a bad rep. Yeah, I remember we've known each other for years, you know what I'm like, but like I think it can be quite daunting for somebody to walk into an MMA gym, a fighter's gym, or a boxing gym, but my best friends, all my companions, like they're some of the nicest people I've ever met in the world. Like,
I agree, man.
And you know, and like we train hard all day, every day, fighting. Like we're not like savages. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't want to fight. I would not want to fight anybody on this planet unless I was getting paid in the cage. You know what I mean? Or I have to defend myself. I'm not interested in fighting. Like I do it all day, every day. There's something to be said about that, you know. It really is. But yeah, I can see why it could look daunting. Again, social media can portray it in a certain way, but most, when I've done martial arts, like I say, it was 30 years or so. And if I've walked into and trained at 1,000 gyms, 998 of them have been the most welcoming, friendly people I've ever met in my life. You know what I mean? So you're always going to get 1% that are muppets in you, but you get that in all areas of life. Yeah.
Unfortunately. So what do you think about any like long-term damages that fighting may cause? Because I imagine, talking about your family, that's probably high on their thoughts. Is it gonna do this? Is it gonna, brain damage is a big thing in boxing, or like you said, your back pain. Is it something that plays on your mind, or?
The short answer, and truthfully, no. No. it doesn't. I never think about it. I haven't thought about it, and maybe it's a good thing that I haven't, because you might overthink whether you should do this sport or not. It's a dangerous sport. I think
there seems to be a lot less head injury in MMA than there has been through the history of boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of MMA fighters that have been retired 10 years old. That you see and hear of a lot of MMA fighters that, you don't. I think to compare the two sports, it's like comparing oranges and bananas. They're completely different. So boxing, although to somebody who doesn't understand fighting, they may look the same. But if you think about a boxing fight, you've got 12 3-minute rounds of basically getting pounded with cushion fists and a lot of fights go 12 rounds, and you're talking thousands of strikes to the brain. Hard. I mean, people don't understand how hard people hit as well. Yeah. If you've never experienced it and you've never done it, especially boxing. I mean, I had an experience like recently starting boxing and just working with a boxer. And I mean, I can fight, obviously, but when it's just pure boxing, it's another level. I thought I could punch hard, or I thought I'd got slick hands and skills with my hands, and then it's completely different. But in that same context, that boxer would say open-eyedly, he would say, I would never step in a cage and do.
Yeah, you give him one leg kick.
Yeah, pick him up and put him on his back, he'd be lost. Yeah. So and most boxers actually agree with that. You get the few boxers that are like, these MMA fight. Most boxers realise that MMA is a completely different world.
It's definitely a different world.
But regarding your question, sorry, I think the spar very, very hard as well. Boxers do. And you're getting pounded a lot with cushion hammers, essentially. So your brain takes a massive pounding. We don't spar like that in MMA. And, you've got these thin little gloves on. The padding is like an inch thick on your gloves, or less than that. If you get hit big in an MMA fight on your chin, you tend to get knocked out. There's no 10 count in MMA. You don't get 10 seconds to recover and then fight again. It's done.
Chaos.
So you'll see like a lot of cuts and scars, as you can see on me, and blood. But tends to be if someone gets wobbled and they start going, they get TKO'd, the ref will stop it, or they get knocked out and they're out cold. So there's not actually that much brain trauma unless you train at an absolute old school Muppet gym, like one of them, that 1% we were talking about, where they spar that hard in small gloves and they do stupid things. Generally, I think what you'll find is, and I pray and hope myself, in 30 years' time when I'm nearly 70, I shouldn't be slurring my words, and I should still be able to have a conversation like this, because I don't think the brain will has taken the same amount of damage that a boxer, the equivalent boxer, will have taken. But I think the rest of my body's going to be broken. Being in a wheelchair, like in the neck collar and that. But I mean, I don't think about that. I'm sure I'm going to have a few ailments when I'm older, but
nothing
we talk
serious.
about. I hope not.
Me too, mate.
We talk about sacrifice. We talk about sacrifice, and it's one of the sacrifices you're making to do this job, And I think if you did worry about that, you'd start overthinking that you probably wouldn't want to do this job.
Yeah.
I do push my body through the grinder a lot, but I do a lot of other stuff to counterbalance it and counteract that. Like, I'm smart with my training, train smart, as I keep saying. I stretch, I keep my body strong, I keep my health well, I eat well, I sleep well. So, I think I'll be all right. I mean, I feel good now. I mean, 38, and I'm holding this conversation fine. I'm still pretty sharp on with everything, and I mean, I've got a bad back this morning, but that's from helping the missus out this morning. But generally, my body injuries are, I'm touch wood, been quite well.
So, who's your dream fight? Who would you love to step in the cage with?
I've had a few different thoughts on this over the years. For years, and it was more so before he went to the UFC, I really liked the thought of fighting Justin Gaethje. Old school Justin Gaethje with the heavy low kicks and the is it the WSOF where he used to fight and
Yeah, them links.
oh man, I'd love to have had a war with Gagey. I mean, respectfully, like he's a phenomenal fighter. But you know what? I would like to fight myself. I think that'd be a challenging, entertaining fight. If I could have a carbon copy of myself, that'd make a good fight.
Don't you do that every day in the gym?
Well, yeah, getting out of bed in the morning, but yeah, no, yeah, I think any sort of fighter that would have a good, entertaining, striking fight with me would make for an excellent fight. But I haven't really got like one particular person that for years I did think just engaging would make a great fight. I'd like to run a few fights back. I know that all 7 losses. I'd like to run them back.
Would you like to get that?
I'd like to get the win back.
Specific one? Or?
I did one. My only loss as an amateur was Jefferson George, and I fought him as a pro in Bama, and I beat him, and that was like the best feeling ever. Because you had the feeling of winning the fight. Somebody was training for me for 10 weeks, as we spoke about earlier, etc. But then it was the revenge. It was avenging that loss. Because, as I said, I hate losing. So avenging that loss as a pro, where it counted more, was the best feeling in the world. So yeah, all 7 of those losses in order from start to finish. Some of them are retired now that I've already lost to, so it'll never happen. But I'd love to avenge them. But yeah, no, there's no. I mean, I want to fight good fighters. I like testing myself.
Yeah, I think you can tell that from your last few opponents. You always want to test yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And mate, I'm super proud of everyone I've fought, all of my fights and all of my previous opponents to this day. Anyway, like as you say, I think my last 10 opponents have been absolute killers.
Yeah.
And I beat most of them. So yeah, I'm very proud of what I've achieved already in the sport.
What's your highlights? What's the one that you always remember? You'll never forget.
I mean, that Jefferson George was a big one. That was on Bama. That was years ago now. That was a big win.
The Bama name for ages.
I know.
It's
old school.
Yeah.
Bellator's going to be like that now in a few years. It's prestigious, isn't it? Bellator now it's finished, but yeah, the Saul Rogers was a big win actually. I seen him not so long back actually. He's absolutely gigantic. He's 100 kilos. He's massive. Such a nice lad. Like, got a lot of time for Saul. But I think everybody wrote me off on that fight. Everybody thought he was going to do me. Maybe he should have, on paper. But I had a real good training camp for that. I really turned up on the night. Even Leon, actually, I remember sitting in the sauna with Leon. I think we were in London helping Joy. Was sitting in the sauna, and I'd literally just found out, and I said to Leon, they've offered me Saul Rogers for my next fight. What do you think about that? And he was like, ooh, tough fight that is. He says, is that all they can get for you at the minute? And I was like, fuck. Like, I didn't like that energy from him.
Yeah.
I wanted he'll smash him. That's the kind of response you want. And I got that. And that Strider, that was on day 1 that I was offered the fight. There was that negative kind of thought put there. And it was like, this is how competitive it was like, I'll show you, Leon, like, that you regret saying that. And we've spoken and laughed about it since, and he was like, yeah, mate, you made me eat my words. Like, all that he did. Yeah, the thing is, when 2 people fight, like, if I stepped in there with Tapori and he had a off night and I had the absolute best night of my life, there's every chance I could beat Tapori. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there is all them factors to it. I'm not calling him out, by the way. But you know what I mean, though? It's like, there's all that that plays into part. But I think Saul did turn up on that night as well. He fought a really good fight, but so did I. And it made for a great fight. I felt really prepped. So that was a really big win. That was a nice fight. That was in Milan, Italy. Great experience just with the team, Fabian fought on the same card. He won. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest wins, I'd say, off the top of my head. I wanted the win against DeKazy. That was a hard one to swallow. First decision loss ever in my career. And it was there for the taking. I'm no doubt you watched it, but that 3rd round, it was there for the taking. And Yeah, I just didn't do enough to get the
like
win.
You say, sometimes it's on the night.
Absolutely, yeah.
You see that sometimes, no matter what organisation you watch, I think sometimes guys show up better than the other. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Definitely.
So, is there any part of the industry that surprised you?
I think like if I was chatting to a young aspiring mixed martial artist now, I would. I mean, I had it said to me loosely, but I would tell them like you got to remember the promotion are in it for themselves. You are your own business. So like say I've had chats with like Shay Ingram, Shay Ingram, you are Shay Ingram, the MMA fighter. You're your sole business. Remember that, and that whatever's said to you by managers, sponsors, promoters, just always do what's best for you and make them decisions. I like to try and give and like with forums like this, but in person with the guys that are close to me, my experiences and wisdom from 13 was it? I forgot. 11, 14 years doing it. Maybe there is a bit of CTE, I don't know. Just try and pass on, especially the guys that are close to me, help them out. You just, I think what I've found helped me over the years is like, if I'll get some sort of opportunity or ask someone or whatever, I always kind of bounce around and speak to 3 or 4 trusted people around me who know the sport or who know me very well and get their opinion on it. And I like to think that I can be that for some of the young guys coming up. Just you got to remember that the promoters are always in it for themselves, and there's normally always like a hidden agenda as to why they're matching you up with who and stuff like that. Like say for instance this fight, I think my mindset going into this last fight was I'm going to run through this kid, man. I'm like levels above him. His mindset would have been, geez, if I beat Tim Wilde, I'm right. I'm going to be fighting for a belt next. Like that's a big scalp to take. Cage Warriors, would they do me any favours making this matchup? Perhaps not. But if I'd have won it, it was expected maybe. But if I'd have lost and Pagani had won like he did, that's massive for Pagani. And they're building Pagani. They've been building him a lot and pushing him a lot on social media. So I think deep down, like, did they try and make this matchup because they wanted him to win and thought he could win? Or do you know what I mean? No, you just got to think outside the box a bit sometimes. I think I've learned that maybe the hard way a few times throughout my career. But generally, I mean, everybody loves the sport who's in the sport. They're all passionate about it. Everyone's very supportive about it. I think you'll always underestimate how hard it is and how hard it can be. I definitely did. And there's expect highs and lows throughout. I'm sure it's like that in every single job and every single sport you do anyway. So, but there's always highs and lows. That's it really. I can't really think of any others.
Is there any piece of advice that you've received through your career that's really stuck with you that you'd like to pass on to the next generation?
I mean, make sure you're enjoying it. Like, I think, like, you've only got a limited window, a limited time frame doing it. So make sure you enjoy it as well. Because it doesn't feel like a job then. I feel quite blessed. I mean, I have worked over the years. I've worked since I was 11 years old. Started with the paper and butchers, sparking, whatever. And I think that actually, to say, has given me a good work ethic towards this training as well. Because I know a lot of people sometimes go from school into fighting and never had a job, they've never had to work for anybody. I think there's a lot to be said in that. But enjoy it. You got to enjoy it as well because it's only a short time in your life and it goes quick. Like it only feels like yesterday when my son was born and he's 9 in September. It really does go quick. Like where the hell is that 9 years gone? So enjoy it while you're doing it. You know, and if you're not, if you're finding it an absolute grind and an absolute chore, maybe it's not for you, you know. But as regarding a piece of advice somebody's given me that I could pass on, there's nothing that stands out particularly.
No.
But that'd be my advice to people. Yeah, to
so you say your son's 9. If you could go back in time to an 8-year-old you, what would you say to him?
What would I say to the 8-year-old version of me?
Yeah.
I would tell him everything absolutely everything I know now. And then God, I'd live my life so much more different. Now, what I don't know. I mean, it'd be great to go back to being 21 years old now, starting MMA, knowing what I know now. Would do things different. But an 8-year-old me, I don't know. I think at 8 years old, you're just like, nothing really matters, does it? Everything's just fun, ain't it? Like, I think if I went, I probably just wouldn't even listen to myself. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever, mate. I just play the Sega Mega Drive or whatever I was playing back then. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you'd take any advice, but I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head what I would say.
You've got a son, so I'm sure you say it every day.
I mean, one thing. I preach a lot with. So when I was 8, 30 years ago, my mum and dad, bless them, they didn't know anything about health and fitness and lifestyle and stuff like that, you know. So I'm already educating my son a lot on the values of health. Like sleep is medicine. I say that to him all the time. He rolls his eyes when I say it now because I'm trying to get him to get to bed.
You going back on the Mega Drive?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But he does sleep well, and I mean, you know, by no means am I on him about diet. I think no kid should diet, but I make him aware of what's healthy, what's not, and he'll make his own choices. If he's had a heavy weekend and a lot of chocolate, and I offer him a bit of chocolate every day as a sweet treat, he'll go, "Oh no, Dad, I've had too much chocolate," and stuff. So just making him aware of the benefits of health, So he's got ADHD, Quinn has as well. He's diagnosed. So he understands the benefits of just moving his body and, like, you know, exercising. So he loves jiu-jitsu. We've got some gymnast rings up in the garden. He's forever doing pull-ups and swinging on them. And, you know, he luckily likes training. It helps him with his ADHD, keeps him on a level, you know. So, yeah, but I remember when he was a real baby, because he used to think I was a superhero, and he would say, and I would say, if you want to be a superhero like Dad when you're older, there's just 5 things you got to remember. And I would preach it to him, and it's like, sleep all the night, eat all your food and vegetables and fruits, drink all the water. What was the other 2? God, I ain't said it to him for a while. Be a nice, kind, good boy, like with your friends and the adults and whatnot. What was it though? Sleep, eat, and train really, really hard when you train. Like, try your best, like, work hard when you train, give it your all. And I used to say that to him all the time, and he still remembers it now. He'll bring it up now and again. So I've already been, like, instilling or trying to instill good habits into him. And he's turning out all right, man. He's doing well so far.
Being a superhero, mate.
Well, that's it. I hope so.
I'm going to leave it there, Tim. I could talk to you all day, man. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you've got things to do, so I really want to thank you for your time and your handshake.
No worries, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot.
That flew by.
We're not that different. We're not defined by age or race. We're not that different in any time or any place, brother. Believe your hustle and your grind, sister. We need your voice, so don't be silent. Slide.